Thank you very much for joining us today. Today I'm going to talk about the product configurator in Sage 100C manufacturing. So let's go ahead and take a look at our agenda. It's a pretty short agenda. We're just going to talk about how work tickets are created using the product configurator. And then we're going to look how the product configurator is set up to work within Sage 100C manufacturing. Here I am in Sage 100. We're going to start with creating a work ticket so I can show you how this works. So I'm going to go to sales order entry, create a new sales order, select my customer, my work ticket class. And then at the lines, I'm going to use an item code that we call door. And we'll create a work ticket from that. And we'll do a quantity of 1. And notice it pops up. Instead of asking if we want to use a template in this example, it's going to come up and ask us if we want to create a work ticket from the configurator. So we'll go ahead and say yes. And so this will start the stream of a series of questions that we will answer that will in turn configure the work ticket and add options in the work ticket like material, labor, those kinds of things. So this is very much like options in bill of materials, if you're familiar with that, where there could be a series of options that you can select that will control the material list. The difference with the product configurator is that the options can be dependent upon the answers that you've given in other options. So you can have options being added or skipped or those kinds of things depending on your answers. Now, this particular example is just going to kind of give you some options in the way that you can define these questions. So the first one is just a question where you'll enter a value. So the value has a range, but you can actually enter a value that you want. So it says here I have to enter a number between 65 and 128 inches. Let's go ahead and just say 70 inches for funs and grins here. And then I'm going to go next. Now it's going to ask us the width of the door, and we'll choose 40 inches as our width, and we'll go next. Then it's going to ask us what type of wood we want to use, and I'm just going to select maple, and notice that we can get a little graphic of what the maple might look like, and go next. And then we get an option for hollow core or solid core. Now, this is one of those options that is dependent upon what wood we've chosen, because if we choose particular wood that does not have hollow core, then that option would not be displayed here. But I'm going to go ahead and choose solid core and then go next. And then we got to select it and then next. And what kind of finish? We'll use the antique brass and then next. Now, it's asking if we want a glass insert in our door. If I go back, just so you can see what this looks like, if I choose a hollow core, it's not going to ask me about the glass. It's going to skip that part. So I'm going to do it again just so you can see what it looks like. So we'll walk through it again just so you can see when we choose the glass that it does it. But notice that that option changed dynamically based on the option that I chose, whether hollow core or solid core. So again, I'll choose 70 inches for our height, 40 inches for our width. I'll choose maple again, and I'll choose solid core, left hand opening. And I'll choose antique brass. Now it's going to ask if I want to use glass, and I'll say yes, I do. And then because I said yes, I can put some text in the glass so it can be etched with information. So I'll say just test and then next. And then I'll go ahead and generate the work ticket. So now we can go take a look at this work ticket since we just created it. This particular work ticket has not very many steps. We have the custom door assembly, things like that. And if we look at one of our steps, you can see the parts list is the maple wood, the solid maple wood, because that's what we chose, right? We chose the maple as the wood with the solid core, and it also has the hinges here. If we look at some of the other steps, you'll see that there's also the glass. So you can see there's an upcharge for the glass, things like that. So the product configurator, based on the answers that we gave as we were going through the question stream, determines what material ends up on this work ticket. Let's go ahead and print this work ticket just so we can see another look at it all at once. So I'm just going to preview it for us. And I want you to notice that the instructions are also dependent upon what was on the configurator. So the door measures 40 by 70. So it's reading those values. We selected the 70 inches as the height. We selected 40 inches as the width. That in turn has concatenated into this instruction. Pretty cool. So back to our agenda, we're going to go ahead and take a look at how this was set up in the product configurator so you can see how these options flow forward. Now, this is just an introduction to how this can work. It's not intended to be training, just to give you some idea of what's going on here. So here I'm back in Sage 100. I'm going to go to Sage 100 Manufacturing. And let's go to the Setup section, and you can see that we have Configuration Maintenance here. And we'll go ahead and select our configuration for door. There's some general information about the configuration here, but let's go ahead and go to the features. And as you can see here, if I do a lookup, these are the sequences. So these are the series of questions that comes in. And each of these questions has various attributes that define how that question is presented and what the answers can be. So in our height question, you can see that the validation type is a number. It's a required feature. The prompt is enter the door height in inches, and then our minimum value is 65 inches and our maximum value is 128 inches. And the mask for the number is as 3 digits to the left of the decimal point and 2 to the right. Now, if I just go next, call up the next one, you can see there's the width. Now, this one is from a calculated list. So you can see that we don't have a minimum maximum per se. We do actually 28 and 40, but there's a list that's being provided. You can also have pricing rules that are added based on values. Let's go ahead and go next here. The type of wood is also coming from an option list, and the core is coming from an option list, and the opening, the hinge, etc. as I go through. Now, I wanted to get to the glass because this is where we can have what are called inclusion or exclusion rules. So inclusion rules means we're going to ask about glass under one condition, and that condition is that the value of the core option is set to solid. So it's not going to ask us if we're going to use glass if the core is not solid, to look at it a different way. Also, what you can do when you're in this configuration, this is where the configurations are defined, is that you can run through it. So you can do what's called a test drive, and I'll walk you through the prompts, those kinds of things, just like it did when we were in sales order entry. It can take you through all the prompts, and you can verify that everything's working the way that you want before you commit it to sales order. Now, one of those was option lists. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at configuration option codes. And we'll do a lookup here, and you can see that we have wood species. And the wood that we can choose from is cherry, oak, pine, and walnut that we can have. Now, the default one is maple, so that's also included here. So this is all I really wanted to show you, is how the configurator works. And it can be really complicated. You can have multiple inclusion and exclusion rules that says if this value is greater than this number and this value is less than this number, then prompt for this, all of that kind of stuff. But understand then you can actually create work tickets kind of on the fly without using a template to determine what material is going to be used on that particular work ticket. So to reiterate, we took a look at how the work ticket is created using the product configurator, and then we looked at product configurator setup. You're welcome to subscribe to our channel and user group. Here's the information for our YouTube channel. We're on LinkedIn. Our website is www.nimsassociates.com, and you may contact us at erp@nimsassociates.com or 877-454-3200, extension 6346. Give us a call if you have any questions. Thank you very much for your time.